The theme of my podcast is highlighting what I describe as nonlinear career paths, and yours is definitely one of those. Can you walk us through your career journey and talk about the reasons along the way, whether they were serendipitous or planned decisions, and how you got to where you are today?
Yeah, absolutely. Something not a lot of people realize when it comes to how did I get from studying chemistry, being in that school, and transition to a business like replacement windows, specifically vinyl replacement windows, such a niche business. Really starts all the way back with my grandfather on my mother's side. He and my grandmother, they were deaf and mute, basically from birth. In the 50s, when they were of age and looking for work and first, newly married, you know, no one was going to hire anybody that was deaf and really couldn't speak other than signing. They lived over in Pennsylvania, but they heard about a company in this area that had hired a couple of deaf men to work in their factory. That factory was a storm window and door factory, aluminum storm windows and doors. I'm around Youngstown, Ohio, the Rust Belt, that comes from the steel industry that is now defunct. But that steel industry, it spawned a lot of ancillary industries as well, tool and die being a big one of those. Tool and die industry gave birth to a lot of aluminum extrusion businesses in this area. The aluminum being here, pushing your custom shapes, that gave way to windows and doors that were made of that material. My grandfather heard about this company and he worked in essentially the window and door, manufacturing space for 40 years. During that time, the aluminum window industry transitioned to vinyl, transitioned to a better, more efficient, less expensive material. His son, my uncle, started working in that factory as he was studying actually accounting at Youngstown State University. As the story goes, he kept advancing through that business, cast aside the desire to finish his accounting degree there, and ascended to leadership positions in that business. And by the time I got the case, he was the president of the manufacturing division, and they were starting yet another division in vinyl siding. They were going to extrude their own siding. When you get into extruding vinyl siding, there is a lot of question about the compounding and formulation of that material. I actually had 3 different material science courses that I had taken. I talked to the owner of the business, and they decided to give me an internship that had to do with basically learning the ins and outs of that business, dealing with the material suppliers, figuring out what compound we exactly wanted for our shape, our siding, etc. I did that for the first half of my second senior year, came back to case, finished up. And by the time, that was over, then they offered me a position in that space. So I went to work basically in engineering and design for a vinyl window manufacturer, and didn't think I'd be in that game for 28 years, but here I am.